Noha wanted a fresh start and decided she was going to move to Canada. But I think as with every one of us, like who decides to move, I think it's much easier now because there are people who are talking about their story. You just sort of assume in your head that, everything's going to be fine. And so she moved. And things got really crazy for her. They moved they landed in Montreal. From Montreal, they moved to Calgary. Then they moved to Fort McMurray and they moved back to Calgary. Her husband wasn't around most of the time because he worked outside the country. So he was in the country like once or twice a year. She says that at some point she wanted to leave home. Like she wanted to leave home. And so she calls up a shelter and calls a lady and gets on the phone with the lady and says, I want to leave my home. And then lady starts to talk to her. And her life changed from there. And so that's how she ends up working with newcomers. I think this was one of those episodes where you kind of understand that. I mean, I know I say this all the time, but people, you're not alone. Find community. Find someone you can talk to. A lot of times as an immigrant, you actually just need someone to talk to. That's all you need. Enjoy. You've been in Canada for 20 plus years now, and I'm curious, like, because that's a long time. When you decided to leave Egypt, like, what motivated you? Like, what was the thing that was driving that need to say, I want to move to Canada? Because I know that in the pre-show when we were talking, and when I met you, we were working in the Minister of Finance in Egypt. Like, and I feel like that's a pretty interesting
GST.
job.
Yeah, it was a very interesting job, and I was waiting to get the approval to join to be one of the judge also. So it's how do you say? I came here for fresh start. I had a previous marriage experience. Same with my husband, and it wasn't easy. Being divorced when I was very young with a baby, so it wasn't easy. And even with the support I have received from my family, and I am coming from very, very, very supportive family, but I just felt like I just need a fresh start. In my mind, when I chose Canada, it was for a few years. Sometime I just need a break, and then I start over. I just want to start in different environment and all of this. I was just sitting on my desk at work, and then I see in the newspaper, we had that time newspaper. I see that Canada is requesting engineers, and I'm not engineer, but my husband is. So I told him, and at that time he was going, like he was in process of going to the Dubai to work there. So he kind of, okay, fine. Anyway, when we went to Dubai, he worked actually for Canadian company. So this is kind of was like a sign, that's Canadian company. And I saw this. My mom used to work with a project, small project between the Egyptian government and the Canadian government both together. So she came to Canada many times before I even came. So I just felt all of this is the sign, like yeah, let's. I don't know. Maybe I didn't find far place more than Canada. But that was the reason. I know everybody has different reason for coming to Canada, but it was for me. It was just for fresh start and take a break. And in my mind, I'll come back maybe after 2-3 years, something like that.
It's 20 years now.
Yeah, and that will lead me to the other part. It's like, and this is, I don't know how to say or explain that. I don't know how this time passed. I just don't know. But after few years, I just start to feel like I'm losing the belonging. Like I'm losing part of me. So I don't belong to Egypt like 100%. I don't belong to Canada 100%. I do belong to both countries. Of course, Egypt is my homeland, and all my memories of childhood, my family, my parents, it has a huge part of inside me for Egypt. But Egypt inside me is different than the Egypt I go and see, right? It's either due to some people are not there, like for my case, my mom passed away, so that
Oh,
changes the whole thing. Some friends
so
are
sorry.
not, yeah, like I mean, we don't want to start this. Some friends are like, life changes and everybody goes to different directions and people are busy. So when I go, yeah, of course, I feel recharged and I feel like I am back to me when I was little, but there is still something missing. And this missing part of me is still missing even here. So, and I think it will be missing forever. I'm not really sure if my point is clear, but I feel like during the journey we lose something. So you can't really say, you can't really white out everything from your culture and what you grow up and what you raised, and add the new culture and the new how do you say that, the new country you live in, just right away. It takes time.
Yeah.
I always look at, my parents' home and my husband's home, like especially for female, like you still, like when you get married, you have your own home and you live with your wife or your spouse, husband, and you build your home and you build everything from scratch. But you still, your parents' home or house, it still has something inside you. You
Yeah.
still feel home, or you want to feel like home when you go there. But when you go there, you feel like I want to go home, which is my,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just to summarize this, Canada for me just like my kids' home, because my kids were born here, and Egypt is my parents' home. Where is my home? Yeah, both.
I agree, to be honest. I mean, I think everyone that listens to this regularly would hear me say this, and I never get tired of saying it, which is that as an immigrant, you're an in-betweener.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call us. We're in-betweeners. We will never fully feel at home in the new country.
We have
Maybe our
express.
kids will at some point. Maybe. Because even our kids are not fully exactly Canadians. Because so for example, your kids are growing up in an Egyptian Canadian home. So they are learning Egyptian culture and the Canadian culture. So they are not exactly fully
And
Canadians,
they
but they are
always
more.
call that they are coming from immigrant parents. Like
Yeah, exactly.
this is a definition.
Yeah.
How
So
we identify them, especially
So they are more
second
Canadian
generation.
than you,
They are.
but yeah, but so I think for us, we immigrants, we're always like that. Because when you leave home, first of all, there's a nostalgia of what home used to be like. So you keep that in your head, like you hold that close to your heart. But every single time you go back to the house, you're like, I don't know this place anymore. Like the only thing you actually have are all the things, your clothes, your parents' clothes, the things, the toys, and all those things. Those are actually the things that you hold dear. The rest, you really don't know anything, because the country moves on, life goes on without you.
Yes,
The
that's
country
true.
changes without you, and so anytime you go back there, you feel like an outsider.
That's true. Outsider over there and the alien here.
Yeah.
So that's right.
That is so true.
Yeah.
There's something you said that I find really interesting, which is when you talked about how the reason why you left, and you wanted a fresh start. But I'm curious, like, So yeah, no, you know how like, okay, you know what? I want to start afresh. I want to go to a new country and spend time there.
Uh,
When you moved over here, how long did it take you to start missing home? Even though you wanted a fresh start, how long did it take you to start missing home and be like,
from day one.
ah!
From day one. Okay, here is the thing. We have to admit that we are coming from the other side of the world, right? So we have a little dream. Maybe this dream, it's just because we watch the movies, the Western movies, and you think like once we come here, like everything is perfect, right? So I had this dream too inside me. The first thing when I arrived, I looked and I was like, the airport, hmm, messy a little bit. That's not what I expected. And and I see homeless in the street, and that's also something I didn't expect to see. Uh, Life is tough, very tough in Canada. Maybe because of the weather, or like people are nice, but I mean you have to work hard to cover your basic needs or to meet your needs. It's not easy. It's not easy. People, they have the dream of like once you come here, you will find a job right away, and like Canada will open its arm to you and welcome to Canada. Yes, somehow, but you still have to put a lot of effort. So, and that was what, like you woke up second day, was like, what I have to do this, what I have to deal. And I the first landing for me was in Montreal, so with the French. Also, even I speak a little French, but it was struggling. So I was like, what I'm doing here? Did I do the right decision? And everything moves very fast. And
Yeah,
even my first job, I decided to. Of course, I need to work. I have to, because I to work in the new countries is very important. It doesn't really matter what job you are taking, but you learn from your you build your networking. You learn about the culture. You improve your language. Many things. So the first job for me was at Tim Hortons. And when I applied for this job, it was through my son's teacher. I was like the first 10 days for me. I'm going to this job with, oh, I'm Noha. I do have a degree, and I'm going to work coffee shop. It's a coffee shop. I got fired after 8 hours, so it's only one day. Of course. First of all, it's very fast. Like everything is fast, and you know how many types of coffee Tim Hortons serve or tea? I wasn't really familiar with that. So first, I underestimated this job, and I realized how slow I was, like a turtle. Everybody's going fast around me, and what's going on? That's not what I expected. But I learned. First, don't underestimate any job. Don't
yeah,
look at yourself like, because you were that, like, in this position in your country. You are here, you are starting from scratch. And I use this when I deal with the newcomers, because this is where I'm working. So I work with newcomers. I always say, you are not a newcomer, you are a newborn. So you need to start to
yeah,
learn how to speak, how to process and navigate the system. So it's still like you are just a brand new. The day you arrive to Canada, the day you were born. Just take it that way. Kids or the babies, they need at least 2 years to start to speak and walk. So you need that too. If you are learning a language, so you need this time to start even to speak. You listen more than you speak. And once you keep listening to the new language, and then after 2 years, you start to say few words. It doesn't mean, because a lot of newcomers, oh, we are old, or we probably not smart enough to learn a new language. But that's not true, because I always say, like, if I can do it, anyone can. I know that I speak too much, but I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. And I'm going to build on that. And which is like that. I really like that thing you said about that the analogy you make of being a newborn.
Yes, it is.
It's because it's important. Someone said to me this morning that I've never seen it before, but he just said it to me, and it made sense that the Canadian government sees you as a newcomer for 5 years.
That's true.
And I'm like,
That's true.
yes, that makes sense because you need at least 5 years,
That's true.
to just find yourself.
I think they know what you're doing. It was 5 years to get the citizenship. I mean, 3 years, but it takes 5 years until you Canadian. And first time I went to Egypt after 5 years with the Canadian passport was like, here I start to feel, no, I don't belong here anymore. Like I'm not the same person I left Egypt 5 years ago. I'm not. So I realized that was the first, like, okay. Yes, I miss Egypt. I still miss Egypt every day. But again, I miss my Egypt.
Yeah.
It's not when I go, like, it's not the same Egypt I see.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about it's better. It was better before. No. That's not my. It's just you miss your memories, your home, your parents, your siblings, cousins, friends, your school, all of this. And we are growing, and those people are moving around. So when you go, you don't really find it's not like the world is still moving around you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When was the first time that it hit you that you weren't in Egypt?
I didn't hear, sorry.
No, I was saying, when was the first time, like when it hit you that you weren't in Egypt? When was the first time?
That I'm not like 100% Egyptian?
Well, okay, yeah, you can answer that actually. Like, when was the first? Maybe the first one you want to answer for me is, when was the first time it hit you that you weren't 100% Egyptian? Like, aside from when you went, like, and this is not just when you went to Egypt. Like while you're in Canada here, is there any time when you're like, okay, I'm not exactly fully Egyptian anymore? Like, I've changed.
No, I didn't realize that until I visited Egypt. Here's the
Interesting.
thing. No, I didn't. Like every day for the first 5 years, because I mean it's long journey and you are trying to build yourself. I started from scratch. You find a job, and they also start to like have my children, like my kids. You want to buy a home, or like you wanna buy your first car. So all of these baby steps you are taking makes you busy. And of course, when you sit down, I have no support system. Also takes time to build your network and your support system. I have no support system. My support system was still in Egypt, because as many newcomers in the first 5 years, you may move a lot from province to other. I started in Montreal for 2 years, and I moved to Alberta, and then moved to Calgary. From Calgary, went to Fort McMurray, and then I came back to Calgary. So you are like, where is the job? Like, when my husband found job, then we have all to move. So it's not easy. Once I start to know the neighbors and then we have to move. So it took time till we get settled. So you are running. So you don't have time to sit and thinking about, do I belong here or do I belong? That wasn't we were very busy.
You're busy trying to find yourself.
Exactly. So when I got the citizenship and they have the Canadian passport, so I decided to make my first trip to Egypt. And here was the shock part, because I was like, oh no. And when every time I say something, oh no, how you are not in Canada. No, I was like, oh yeah, I know, but I realized that Canada impacted me in a lot of things, but you don't realize until you leave. So I guess I have And I think most of newcomers, we carry our culture and our memories and your homeland. You carry it with you all the time, right? Even
Yeah.
in new countries. So I live in Canada. My kids are Canadian, and I am Egyptian Canadian proudly. A huge part of me is Egypt because that's where I spend most of my life. I guess half here, half here. Oh my God, everybody know how old I am now, but remove this. but but that's true. So it's, you have something like you are. You can't really wipe out your previous
No, you
life
can't.
before coming to Canada.
No.
And I think that's what makes Canada different, that it's always you get that from everybody, like keep your culture, teach your children your language, keep it, and that's how Canada's different, I guess, because it's encouraged to enrich this country and to make this country multicultural, that you encourage to keep your homeland. And I
Yeah.
think what works for you from the Canadian culture, because you live here, so you can't deny that, because I see also other immigrants, they deny, which is not, it's not right.
No, you shouldn't. You should, like, it's why are we even having that conversation? Like, you should understand the culture of the country you live in. Integration means you understand the culture. You know, integration doesn't mean you should wipe away your culture. Like I say, I don't like the word assimilation, because assimilation says wipe away your culture. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, you
exactly.
shouldn't. You should integrate. You know, I mean, I do think, and that's not a topic for today. I do think that we still need to have a conversation in Canada around multicultural versus multi-value systems, in the sense that, because you know how multicultural is different, but then value systems can be very different, and it feels like
Yes.
the Canadian value system has to be like, we need to have a Canadian value system conversation that still sits within the multiculturalism of the societies themselves. But that's a long conversation for another day. Because that it starts to get into places that are very political and very, people get very emotional about it.
I know. Yeah.
I got really interested when you said you all moved got to Montreal, to Calgary, Fort McMurray, back to Calgary, and you see, there's something you described. You just said it in passing, but that thing is really heavy. Where you said, as you're about to know all the neighbors, you have to move. Like, how did you manage that? No support system, and then just going from city to city. Like, how was it for you?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. At that time, I wasn't that person talking to you right now. I was focused about everything I'm losing or I lost. Like, I'm not surrounded by my family. I don't have a support system. Yes, I'm doing everything. I take care of my kids, but at the same time, I didn't really see or maybe appreciate what I have, because I was focusing about during the journey we are trying to build up ourselves in this new country. I don't have a career. Well, while I used to have a career, I don't have this, and I don't have this, and I have a neighbor. I don't have, when I cry, nobody's there. And also, I was very lucky because my husband has to work overseas too. Yeah, he's working for Canadian companies, took him overseas. So I was by myself with my son, the little one, which is from previous marriage, and then I I got pregnant, and I had my daughter, and my husband used to come and go, but once or twice a year, so it's not enough. So it was by my own. So so I was stressed. I went through depression, just crying. There is a time I felt like, why I'm doing this? I want to give up. I can't really do this anymore. And I see this with new Canadians. I call also new Canadians. I see that also the relationship due to everything I said, to establish yourself in the new country, sometimes the relationship between couples is not the best. So there is a lot of, because again, we are busy building ourselves. So sometimes there is a conflict, and there is a kids. So who's going to stay with the kids? So normally I'm from culture that, and I'm a mom, and I'm proud to be a mom. So like I don't regret like staying with my kids in younger age. This is like something I'm very proud I did. But you really don't have. I'm from culture like neighbor can knock at your door and come and they'll like have a cup of tea. Here, no, you do have to have to call, invite them. So sometimes they feel, who do I go? Anyway, one of this moment which the relationship wasn't really the best, and I made a phone call to the stress center because I decided to leave home. Take my kids and leave. So I made a phone call to the stress center, just looking for shelter. It's not like because my husband did anything, but I just feel like I can't really do it anymore. Back home, I will go to my mom's house or my sister, my aunt, like many houses can take me, but here no one, because I don't know anyone, or I didn't know anyone. So I don't really know the name of this lady who made this conversation with me, but I'm grateful for this lady, and everything happened to me from this phone call impacted my life, and the reason where I'm, because she made me see a lot of power in myself. I didn't really see it. So anyway, bottom line, I don't want to speak too much, but to summarize this, I was talking to her and I told her and explained to her. So I don't know what did she see, but she told me, she paused for a while and she said, Noha, have you ever thought to volunteer? And I told her, no. And she said, why don't you volunteer with us? By talking to you, I just feel like you can be volunteer with the stress. And do you want to do that? I was like, oh yeah. So anyway, I ended up, I didn't go to shelter or anything. And I just looked and I filled out the application, and I went and I worked. I used to volunteer from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. That was my shift, just because to take care of the kids in the morning for school. And so, and then I had a good training, and I started to work or like to volunteer. And every time I answer a phone call and I listen to the struggle, the real struggle from people who live here in Canada or Calgary, I was like, why I was really like, why I had this depression, and oh my God, I'm healthy, my kids are healthy, capable to do a lot of things, and I start to see a lot of to see inside me. And from this, I start to build like kind of my career. I was like, okay, I like helping people. And by helping people, it's not only I'm helping them, helping myself. Because when you are satisfied and you appreciate what you have, that's huge achievement in your life.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on what you don't have, and that was me. So what I'm doing right now, what I'm lucky to work for one of non-for-profit organization, the Immigrant Education Society ties. I'm trying to give back to the society. I don't see myself in any other job. So just bottom line, since this phone call, and this is how I decided to, even if I may one person smile or happy or just to show them the right direction or help them to find the conclusions themselves and empower them, then I go home very happy. So it's fine. And you receive the feedback on the spot instantly. Like you get the thank you, and I was like, okay, that's it. I don't want to say that, but I would do this job even if it's for free. But don't tell. Don't tell that.
So sorry, just curious. When was this phone call? How long ago was this phone call?
It was 2012.
So that's like
So,
about 12 years ago.
mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, that's true. So like, and again, I don't remember the name of this person. Maybe she doesn't even remember me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't even remember the conversation. But I mean, she was listening, and with non-judgmental ears, and she was actively listener. And I think this is what I needed at that time. And she somehow they provide good training. So I know because after I had the training, I understand, and I think I'm assuming like I helped a lot of people. But yeah, so she listened, and this is I think I needed to talk. So she gave me this space, and I said everything, and then she asked, "Do you still want to?" I was like, no, and never ask it to leave. And I'm not going to. I'm not sharing this to show like of course like, again it was a clash. Normal clash could happen between any couples. Like
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Like my husband is the most supportive person when it comes to career and all of this. But again, as I said, it could happen between and the fact that he didn't live with us for long and he comes and go, that's also because I feel like I need a lot from him when he comes, but it's always short period and he has other things to do. So anyway, and I was younger, of course. Now I'm wiser. I'm thinking, I don't know.
Tell me more. Tell me a bit more about the stuff you do, because first of all, it's the passion that you show when you talk about this is so beautiful, because immigrating is hard. Like it's hard.
It's not easy. It's not easy to make this decision. It's not easy, and to go through like the journey itself is not easy. So I don't know. Again, you asked me. I can't really even tell you when is the moment I said I get settled. I really don't know. But I think when you find a job or career or job, it doesn't really matter. As I said, in this country, if you want to build your support system, you do have to work because it's a start from there, or volunteering. It's a start from there because like from my work and I know that I don't like it's about my personal journey now, but Ties, the organization I work for, it's part of me now. I have been working with them for 9 years. Yeah, so it's a lot. Like my colleagues, some of them are my friends. I have a good friend working with me. I have people at work or staff call me mom. So because I'm I'm the mom for them. There's people I feel like we are sisters, siblings. So the relationship is because when you work with people for long, I spend the time with them more than I spend actually with my family. So it's part of you. It shapes you. So yeah, so I can't really talk about Noha without talking about my work. So
Enjoying this job.
I do. I love it. Like I do. I am very passionate about what I'm doing. I'm not really sure if you ever heard about it. It's one of those non-for-profit organizations called the Immigrant Education Society.
Yeah, tell me more.
So TIES, which is actually the name TIES. So we have language program for newcomers. We have employment program, settlement service program, which is where I'm working. I work as a settlement service manager for the Immigrant Education Society. We have entrepreneurship. We have mental health, like healthy mind program. Research team for the best practice. So we have students here, right? All of them are newcomers. So and I'm the settlement manager. So of course I didn't start as settlement manager. I started as a coordinator, and then I moved to different roles until I'm very proud of what I'm doing with people. It's not only me, like everybody in this organization. I mean, you have to love what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you work for non-for-profit, and you have to have this like have a big heart, and you are willing to support people from your heart. So, and again, as I mentioned, like if I don't really like the place, I wouldn't stay for 9 years.
Yeah.
So,
9 years is a long time.
So I it's like my second family for me, and the work everybody's doing is incredible.
That's
it's
beautiful.
Not like only me. No,
that's beautiful. To be honest, I wanted to ask. We're rounding up now, so I probably have 2 more questions after this, 2 or 1. But like 20 years, you know, with all the things you've told me.
20 years.
20, yeah, it's a. I mean, I'm just coming on 4 years, so I'm like 20 years. Like that is
4
massive.
years.
How do you maintain connections with your home country?
Right now everything is easy. Like
Okay, well,
you have you have all of these social medias, WhatsApp. So it's easy to call, easy to see them in camera. I have to say I'm a very active member in the family. Again, as I mentioned, I have a very supportive family. And when I talk about family, I'm not talking about like my parents or my siblings. No, I have cousins, I have aunts, and I do have a relationship with them. We grow up all in my grandmother's house, right? When every week you see all of them, so they are, even if on the paper they are cousins and aunts, uncle. I feel like no, they are like my mom, my dad, my siblings, my sister, my brother. They are my cousins too. So no, I'm very active. Sometimes if they need to know anything, they call me. Did you hear this? Or we heard that because I call them. Like I keep the connection. Still, I can't live without my family.
Thank you.
And I told myself I'm not going to cry, so I'm not going to cry. Normally, I'm very emotional when it comes to these topics, but I promised myself I'm not going to. I kept it till the end.
Thank you. Let me release you so you will, because I feel like you're almost there.
Yeah, okay.
But thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you so
and
much.
honestly, like keep doing what you're doing, because I mean, I can't imagine. I get the passion, but I don't know if you've heard this thing. There's this thing I've heard someone say where I see you all as like sin eaters, not sin in the way of what we sin, but you know how when people come to you with all their problems and you have to listen, you know, I don't think it's as easy as you put it, because it's, you go away from that place and you're carrying that person's problem in your head. Like that is some emotional burden to carry. Just listening to different people with situations where you're like, how do we even begin to help this person unravel themselves from this situation they are in? But yeah, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, sometimes it drains you somehow.
Yeah.
But again, if you are strong enough and you love what you are doing and you see your work life every day, so I think this is motivation, right? And again, as I mentioned, I'm not the only one doing this. If you think that what I'm doing is great, so I invite you to come and meet all of my co-workers.
I will. I'll take you up on that offer.
Because trust me, like I work with a lot of great people.
Way to go, Thais. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope you enjoyed it. Noha is such a really beautiful soul, and it was really good talking to her. As always, please like, share, follow us on Substack, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, anywhere we are, everywhere there are podcasts, please follow us. If you know someone who could find this useful, please send to them. If you know someone we should talk to, send them our way. Thank you very much. Peace out.